Hello and welcome back to the channel. Have you ever heard the saying, if you want something high quality and cheap, it's not going to be fast? Or if you want something high quality and fast, it's not going to be cheap? Well, today we're going to go on the hunt for the cars that buck that trend and give us fun, reliable motoring on a budget. Let's get started. Okay, so let me start with my criteria for what I think is going to give us our fun, on a budget car. £5,000 seems fair enough. You could spend that on a service on some supercars. Hatchback, otherwise we're going to get swarmed with luxury barges that'll cost an absolute fortune to keep on the road. Petrol, because let's face it, petrol's more exciting than diesel. I'm going to get beat up in the comments by diesel Skoda owners already, I can feel it. And from 150 brake horsepower. Conservative, yes, you're right, but a lot of this stuff is likely to be a bit older and therefore not as reliant on power. And right away, Auto Trader does not disappoint because it's given us a Renault Clio 172. Love these cars, love these cars. They handle so well. Well, good ones do at least anyway. Let's get a look. Looks smart in black, doesn't it? They've aged well. Also, we can group into this the 182s, 172, 182. I would gladly own either. So absolutely, yes, 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 get that onto the short list. Couple of little service points that I would mention on these. If we get a look at the description. So you're gonna want to make sure that ideally if you're buying one, the timing belt and tensioners have been done. Yep, okay, that's mentioned in the ad. No mention of the dephaser, so you'd want to make sure that that's been done as well. Not a complete deal breaker, but if it hasn't at the same time, you're going to want to factor that in, get a bit off the cost to get that done. But yes, absolutely, get that on the short list. That is exactly what this video is all about. Right, let's crack on. Takes me ages to get through one of these videos, by the way. I get far too excited about what's popping up. We end up clicking on everything. I'm going to try and not do that. Right, so Mark V Volkswagen Golf GTI. Okay, interesting. It's worthy of a click, so let's do that. This must have been one of the earliest cars to have full diamond cut wheels, by the way. Am I mistaken in that? I'm sure someone can let me know in the comments if I'm wrong. It certainly was diamond cut though. The corrosion that has adhered to it suggests that. Yeah, good cars. The Swiss Army knife of cars, really, isn't it? They look good, they go okay, they're practical, they're fairly reliable, although age has kind of taken its toll on these now. There can be a couple of problems with them, so things relating to, you know, like blocked oil pipes, cam chains, failing PCVs. Rust as well on these can be quite bad, especially around the front wings. So just keep that in mind if you are thinking about one of them, be on the lookout for all that kind of stuff. Right, what we got next? Oh geez, right, okay. What is Auto Trader doing to me here? So an Audi S3, look at that. Way back from 2001, it's on 152,000 miles. Now, don't get me wrong, I am not realistically saying that we're going to shortlist this or you should go out and buy one of these and try and drive the heck out of it every day. Because let's face it, it's 23 years old. It's on 150,000 miles, but what a lovely thing. Look at it. Nice, clean, simple lines. If you're like me, you can really appreciate this era of car design. Look at it, I love it. Even those seats, look at those seats. Looks like they're shod and bin bag, but I still love them. Nice chunky bolsters. But unfortunately, it doesn't really fit the criteria for what we're looking for here. We want something that's going to be fairly reliable. And not that these weren't good cars, by the way. They were very good cars. It's just the age and mileage is going to have taken its toll. And if you want a nice Minter, you're going to pay a bit more than what we're looking at here. And even then, you probably wouldn't want to be driving it all the time to try and preserve some of its value. Interesting thing on them as well, by the way, I digress here. This is why the video takes ages, you see. Back in 2001, Audi was kind of viewed as subpar to Mercedes and BMW. So although they were making these fantastic cars, it was only really the people that couldn't afford BMW or Mercedes that was going out and buying them. Thankfully, that's all changed today, and Audi is a brand that's very much up there. There you go, history lesson for free. Okay, moving on. Scirocco's. This is interesting. Interesting that it's displayed two of them together, because it's the two different engines we've got here. We've got the 1.4 and we've got the 2 litre. Let's start with that 1.4 because that looks like a bargain. It's only on 97,000 miles, where the 2 litres on 112, and it's quite a bit newer as well, 2013 versus a 2008 58 plate. So it looks like a bargain on the surface, but the thing you need to be aware of here is the 1.4 in that Scirocco. You might know of it. It was the really rather complex VW twin charged engine. So it had the turbo and it had the supercharger. It found its way into tons of cars actually, Seats, Volkswagens. Now, it can be troublesome. Certainly these later versions of it got a lot better. They were constantly being revised, but it can still be problematic. So keep that in mind. Timing chain problems, oil consumption problems. So no, I can't realistically say go and buy that, it'll be 100% reliable. It's just not gonna happen. If it was my choice, I think I would be going for the 2 litre. If I had to buy a Scirocco, that is, I'd probably go for that. I'd go for the 2 litre. That's the engine that's shared with the Mark 6 GTI, Golf GTI. It's not completely without its faults, by the way, don't get me wrong, but it's likely to be more reliable than the 1.4 that we've got there. So from 2012 on, this 2 litre TSI was revised and it got a bit better. Obviously this is a good bit earlier than that. So if I was buying this, I'd be looking to make sure that the timing chain and the tensioner had been done on it and replaced with the better parts. Just something to keep in mind. Ford Fiesta ST, cat car. We're not going to count cat cars for now. It's going to skew our budget all over the place, so we're going to leave them out for the time being. Next, Audi A3 1.8 TFSI. It is an automatic, slightly off-putting that. There could be some problems with these automatic gearboxes. And also, every like 1 in 10, I'm going to say, 1.8 TFSIs from this era seems to have an oil drinking problem. So again, no, it's not going to make the cut for this list. What else we got? Skoda Fabia, okay, 1.4 TSI. Is there an echo in this room? That is the same engine as what we've got in this Scirocco. So same problems, same complicated turbo supercharged unit. And again, it is a late one, so you could roll the dice on it, but I wouldn't recommend it. I'd just buy something that's known to be more reliable. I'm sure we'll get a few in this list. Okay, again, another Scirocco. Let's skip past the Sciroccos. We've spoken about them. Page 2, that's when you know you're struggling. But look at these oddball choices it's given us. Certainly a Smart 4.4 Brabus. This is why I love sifting through Auto Trader, because it gives you choices that you otherwise likely wouldn't have thought about. Certainly, I will admit that's not a car I would have thought about for this list. We'll come on to that in a moment, but let's get a look at this Mini. Good looking car, privately listed, 2011, that's good, so it means it's got the N18 engine, a little bit more reliable than the one that came before. Not completely without fault, don't get me wrong. Some of the early ones, which this is, had timing chain problems, and the high pressure fuel pumps could also play up from time to time as well. Something to keep in mind with these cars, part prices are going to be a little bit more expensive than some of the alternatives. Just something to keep in mind, as I say. Smart 4.4, oddball choice, here we go, worthy of a click. If you cast your mind back to like early 2000s, those were the wheels, those Brabus wheels, that's what everyone wanted on their Mercs. 150 grand Merc rolling, and it had to be on those wheels, and this little car got them as well. I love that. Terrific looking little cars, aren't they? I think they look great, probably because you don't see them every day. And a lot of people aren't aware of this, but certainly under the bonnet, these were essentially a Mitsubishi Colt CZT, so it got the faster engine from the Colt. So cool, good fun to drive, and also reliability, because it's got its kind of Japanese underpinnings, at least under the bonnet anyway. So that could technically make our list, but it's quite a rare car. Whether you'd actually be able to go out there and find one to suit your budget and your spec, I'm not too sure. So for that reason, we'll leave it off the list. Mondeo, that's also not making our list because it's a Mondeo. Next though is a Ford Focus ST Mark II. Yes, absolutely. Again, this is the kind of thing that we want to be including in this video. Such a cool car. I think they've got cooler with age, practical, fast, fun to drive. It ticks all the boxes. Cheap to fix as well when it does go wrong. Well, depending on what the problem is. Couple little advisories on these. On that note, you don't want to buy one that's been tuned to the moon. A lot of these are pushing mega power. They were really tunable because of that turbocharged Volvo drive 5-cylinder engine, but as close to stock as possible is now desirable. I actually own this car's bigger brother as well, the Focus RS, and I adore it. The STs are similar to a point, therefore I adore them by proxy. Great cars. One of the issues that these STs can have, however, is cracking the cylinder wall liners. Now when that happens, if it's bad enough, the car will be blowing a ton of smoke, so it's quite easy to spot. It'll be using the coolant and it essentially needs a new engine. So something to keep in mind. Otherwise, pretty robust cars. Getting older now, as is a common theme in this video, you want to be on the lookout for rust. And here's a good way that you can start checking the car's background and MOT history. Take the plate from it, so we've got the plate off this Focus here, and head to vehiclescore.co.uk. Put the plate in, it'll tell you the good and bad points about that car for free, and then if you are serious about buying it, purchase one of the paid HPI reports. I'm going to add a 15% discount voucher in the description below alongside a link, so you can hopefully make your next car a good one. Right, back to our results. What else have we got here? Okay, so we'll skip a couple of these because we've spoken about them a bit. Another A3, another Mini, another Golf, Volkswagen Beetle, there's an odd one for you. Again, Cat D, and no, I'm not realistically suggesting you go and buy one of these to try and look cool. Fun fact about the Beetle, do you know this is one of very few cars that you are not allowed to sit a driving test in because it doesn't give the examiner enough visibility? There you go. Okay, right. On to a real contender here now as well. I got a bit worried there. The first one's a Cat N. We don't want that. Let's discount that. It's a Cat N because it's a really cool, rare colour. So let's focus on the one underneath it. Honda Civic Type R FN2. Yes, absolutely. Again, something that we absolutely want on this list. Reliable, fun, high revving K20 engine, amazing gearbox. Yeah, terrific. Unfortunately, we can also add to that list rust, and lots of it. That's the big problem with these cars, so you want to be careful when you go and buy one. Make sure you check the cells, get as good a look underneath it as you can, because rust is killing these cars at a rapid rate. And honestly, I think that's going to make the good ones skyrocket in price. But these are fantastic cars. Renowned Honda reliability. Not really many problems to speak of. Could get the occasional one that would have a problem with the gearbox. Usually it would jump out of gear if that's the case. The synchro meshes started to wear, so it'll either grind as it goes in, or if you're in third gear, let's say, you're hard on the power, then you come off and the gear stick jumps out. Again, that indicates problems internal to the gearbox. But other than that, rust, gearbox, these are solid cars. Don't get me wrong, I've produced a full buyer's guide on this channel for this car and a lot of the cars that I've mentioned in this video actually. So if you want to view them in more detail, I'll add some links in the description below as well. But yes, terrific car, and I think that concludes our list. So let's get into a bit of a review. So I think we've got 3 contenders for our short list here, and each of them I've actually filmed with and made comprehensive buyer's guides. So if you are interested in buying one of them, you can click in the top right hand corner when that car comes up in this review. So first up, the Renault Sport Clios, the 172s and the 182s. So long as the timing belt and diffuser has not been neglected, or you bargain it into the deal, these are fantastic cars. You're going to want to be on the lookout for rust as well, of course, but get a good one and they are brilliant. They're what this list is all about. Next up, we had the Ford Focus ST Mark II. Again, rust. Check for rust, especially being an older Ford. Use that MOT checker and also vehicle score to judge whether the car's a good one before you even leave the house. But get a good one of these and that 5-pot Volvo derived engine will have you smiling everywhere you go. And finally, we've got the FN2 Honda Civic Type R. High revving, naturally aspirated, Honda reliability, what's not to love? Well, possibly the rust. As I said, a common theme. Now I've added the links in the top right for each of these as I've spoken about them. Thank you so much for watching. Please do hit subscribe, hit like, let me know if you agree with me in the comments below, and I'll see you for the next video.